In a city as filled with tourist attractions as Venice, it's hard to know where to begin. Welcome to WatchZilla. Today we are going to explore the capital of the Veneto region of northern Italy, Venice. Perhaps the best way is to simply get lost for a few hours, wandering through its enchanting little streets and passageways, strolling beside its canals, and finding its secret corners. At every turn, you'll see something worth remembering with a photo. No matter where this exploration takes you, it's easy to find your way back to Piazza San Marco and the Grand Canal. Most of the best sites you'll want to visit lie around these two landmarks. Venice is divided into 6 sestieri, neighborhoods that have distinctly different characters. San Marco is the central one, surrounded on 3 sides by a great loop in the Grand Canal. Across Rialto Bridge is the artisans' neighborhood of San Polo, and across the Grand Canal to the south is stylish Dorsoduro, with its prestigious art museums and lively squares. At the outer edges are Santa Croce, Castello, and Cannaregio, home of the original ghetto. Beyond the 6 sestieri neighborhoods of the cities itself, you'll want to hop aboard a vaporetto to its islands, Lido, Murano, Burano, and Torcello. A 4th island, San Giorgio Maggiore, is worth visiting for the beautiful views of San Marco and Venice from the tower of its church. Number 12, Lido di Venezia. If you are looking for a spot of relaxation and to get away from the bulk of the tourists, the Lido is the place to go. If you are tired of the monuments and the rich historical sites around in Venice, catch a break out on the beach at Lido di Venezia. With a much calmer, laid-back and relaxed feeling to central Venice, Lido is a true escape and provides a stark contrast to the busy streets and waterways surrounding the Grand Canal. Perfect for visitors who want to soak up the sun and enjoy the beach, the Lido di Venezia has a long stretch of sandy beach and is a great place to head to if you want a break from all the sightseeing in Venice. It does have a long stretch of the sandy beach and is one of the best places to find some peace and recluse in. The sandbar is what lies to the south and the southeast of Venice, facing out to the Atlantic. This separate island creates a barrier between Venice and the Adriatic Sea and features a long stretch of beautiful beach to enjoy. Home to approximately 20,000 inhabitants, the Lido also has a host of residential areas, shops, restaurants and hotels. Inhabited for over 1,000 years, crusaders on their way to the Holy Land once set up camp on the very same beaches we see today, and in the 19th century, the sandbar became a popular resort for the rich and famous as writers, film stars and royals descended upon the Lido. With its own distinctive feel and laid-back vibe, the Lido is well worth visiting and hosts the Venice Film Festival in September each year. Number 11, Peggy Guggenheim Collection. This wonderful collection is an absolute joy to wander around as it houses many masterpieces by some European and America's most renowned artists. The personal art collections of heiress Peggy Guggenheim are housed in her former home alongside the Grand Canal, Palazzo Venier dei Leoni. Although most of Italy's great art museums are filled with masters of the Middle Ages and Renaissance, this one concentrates on American and European art from the first half of the 20th century. The low building, with its spare, white interior, is a fitting venue for these bold and often dramatic works, which represent Cubist, Futurist, Abstract Expressionist, Surrealist, and avant-garde schools of painting and sculpture. Among the many big names on show are The Poet by Picasso, Birth of Liquid Desires by Dali and Alchemy by Pollock. The permanent collection includes works by Picasso, Dali, Braque, Leger, Mondrian, Kandinsky, Klee, Ernst, Magritte, and Pollock, and frequent exhibitions bring in works from other major artists. In the museum's sculpture gardens are works by Calder, Holzer, Caro, Judd, and Hepworth. With so many amazing pieces on display, the Peggy Guggenheim collection is well worth checking out for all its fantastic modern art. Number 10, Santa Maria Gloriosa dei Frari. Another name in the top tourist attractions in Venice is Santa Maria Gloriosa dei Frari, a stunning Gothic church by the Franciscans. Beautiful to behold, the Santa Maria Gloriosa dei Frari more commonly goes by the name of Frari and is one of the most important religious buildings in Venice. The Basilica di Santa Maria Gloriosa dei Frari, sometimes referred to simply as Frari, is a Gothic-style church that was finished in the 14th century. Completed in 1338, Frari is located in the San Polo district. Built out of red brick, the church is constructed in the Gothic architectural style. The exterior is minimal in comparison to St. Mark's Basilica because the Franciscans who built it wanted the building to emulate their beliefs on living a life of poverty. The interior, however, is a different story. Although the outside is quite plain, the interior is sumptuous to gaze upon and is home to some wonderful piece of art which includes Titian's Pesaro Madonna. The chapel, facade, and the interiors look sober, artistic, and charming. Besides, the church displays some famous historical paintings, figures, and sculptures by most popular artists of the Renaissance period. Inside, you'll see works by Titian, Bellini and Vivarini, among other famous artists, and all for a cheaper price than the city's Venetian art museums. Its ornate tombs, fantastic paintings, and elegant statues make it well worth a visit. Undeniably, this is one of the not-to-be-missed tourist places in Venice. Recent visitors appreciated the minimal entrance fee, as well as the fact that it sits away from the frenzy of the Piazza San Marco. Others admired its intricate interiors, as well as its bevy of artworks, calling it a must-see. Don't miss Vittoria's wonderful statue of Saint Jerome and the stunning monument to Antonio Canova. Number 9, Campanile di San Marco. One of the most recognizable landmarks in the whole of Venice, Il Campanile is located on the famous Piazza San Marco and is the tallest building in the city. As the tallest structure in Venice, the Campanile is a towering building that stands at a colossal 98.6 meters high. Towering to a height of 99 meters, the bell tower was completed in 912, although the building we see before us today was built in 1912 after it suddenly collapsed. The building that stands now is actually a reconstruction as the original collapsed in 1902. Originally created in the 9th century, the Campanile was used as a watch tower. Throughout the years, the tower has been damaged by fire, earthquakes and even lightning. While the main body of the bell tower is quite plain, the upper realms of Il Campanile have some lovely architecture on show in the form of the beautiful arches and stonework. Made of a simple red brick design, the main shaft is quite simple, but the bell housing and pinnacle feature a myriad of arches and stonework, and the top features a golden statue of the angel Gabriel. An elevator brings visitors straight to the top of the Campanile, where they have a great view over Venice and the lagoon. Admire the tower from the Piazza di San Marco, but also take the elevator up to the top for possibly the best panoramic views of Venice. Number 8, Gallery dell'Accademia. Located on the south bank of the Grand Canal, the Gallery dell'Accademia is mesmerizing to wander around. Originally an academy, this attraction was later turned into the Galleria dell'Accademia Museum by none other than Napoleon. This is one of the most prestigious art galleries and must-see places in Venice, known for a rich collection of Venetian paintings. Its galleries are home to astounding artworks by famous pre-19th century Venetian artists. Today, it's filled with an expansive collection of Venetian art from the 14th to the 18th century by artists such as Bellini, Tintoretto and Veronese. With masterpieces by renowned artists such as Canaletto, da Vinci and Titian on display, the Gallery dell'Accademia certainly won't disappoint with all that it has to offer. Its 24 rooms cover various themes, some focus on panel paintings, while others look at portraits and works by specific artists. The paintings are arranged chronologically so that one can comprehend the evolution of art forms of the medieval period. If you enjoy art, especially Renaissance art, then you'll probably enjoy this museum. If not, you might be disappointed. Travelers who enjoyed this museum were primarily self-proclaimed art enthusiasts, while those who didn't identify as such reported being a bit bored with the subject matter depicted. Number 7, Murano. A trip to Venice wouldn't be complete without hopping aboard a vaporetto for the ride across the lagoon to Murano, home of Venice's fabled glass workers. They were sent here in the 13th century in hope of decreasing the risk of fire from one of the glass furnaces sweeping through Venice's tightly compacted center. Or so they claimed. Just as likely, it was to keep the secrets of glassblowing a Venetian monopoly. This was no small matter to the Venetians, whose Council of Ten decreed in 1454, if a glass blower takes his skill to another country, to the detriment of the Republic he shall be ordered to return, should be refuse, his nearest relatives shall be thrown into prison, so that his sense of family duty may induce him to return, should he persist in his disobedience, secret measures shall be taken to eliminate him wherever he may be. It was a lot easier to keep track of them if they were confined to an island. The canal sides today are lined by glass showrooms and studios, showing everything from cheap imported trinkets to exquisite works of art. Inside the 17th century Palazzo Giustinian is the Glass Museum, with one of the largest and most important collections of Venetian glass from the time of the Romans to the 20th century. But it's not all glass. The Church of Santa Maria e Donato combines Veneto-Byzantine and early Romanesque features, a result of its various stages of building between the 7th and 12th centuries. Notice especially the columns of Greek marble with Veneto-Byzantine capitals, the 12th century mosaic floor with animal figures, and the Saint Donato above the first altar on the left. Dated 1310, it is the earliest example of Venetian painting. The 14th century San Pietro Martyr contains several splendid Venetian paintings, Bellini's Madonna in Majesty with Saint Mark, and the Doge Agostino Barbarigo and his Assumption of the Virgin, along with Saint Jerome in the Wilderness and Saint Agatha in Prison, by Paolo Veronese. Number 6, Bridge of Sighs. Perhaps Venice's most famous architectural jewel, the Bridge of Sighs, is in the heart of the city near the Piazza San Marco. Don't get deterred by the name. The Bridge of Sighs is the connecting bridge between the Doge's palace and the new prison. Centuries ago, the Bridge of Sighs, which connects the Doge's palace to dungeons, was used to transport prisoners from the courtroom to the prisons. Its name derives from the fact that it was part of the Doge's palace prison complex, and convicts had to cross it to go from the Doge's interrogation rooms to the new prison once they received their sentence. It was constructed back in 1600 and is situated across the Rio di Palazzo. The bridge was designed by popular construction designer Antonio Contino. The bridge is named Sighs because legends have it that the prisoners would sigh at the final view of the bridge. Legend has it that the Bridge of Sighs, or Ponte dei Sosper in Italian, was named for the sighs prisoners like Giacomo Casanova would utter as they took one last look at the outside world through the bridge's windows as they made their way to prison for good. It was the last thing they saw before their incarceration, so many sighs could be heard as they walked over the bridge, resigning themselves to their imminent fate. On a much lighter note, Venetian lore says if two lovers kiss on a gondola under the bridge, they'll be granted eternal bliss. Today, the bridge has much happier connotations, with millions flocking each year to witness its beautiful design. Recent travelers offer mixed reviews on the Bridge of Sighs. Those who enjoyed it appreciated the details of the architecture and unique placement of the bridge, saying it was a nice photo op, especially while the gondolas passed underneath it. Those who weren't as smitten noted its lack of accessibility as the main drawback, saying that merely looking at the bridge was underwhelming. Other disgruntled visitors pointed out that number of tourists, combined with the small amount of viewing space, made the bridge barely visible. Number 5, St. Mark's Basilica. Easily the most renowned and famous building in Venice, St. Mark's Basilica is a sublime piece of architecture that has stood the test of time since its creation in 1902 and remains one of the most important religious buildings in northern Italy. Certainly, Venice's best-known church and one of the most easily recognized in the world, St. Mark's Basilica, was originally the Doge's private chapel, decorated with Byzantine art treasures that are part of the booty brought back by Venetian ships after the fall of Constantinople. Every aspect of this church is fantastic, from the ornate detail, sculptures and artwork of the front facade to the beautifully painted frescoes and Byzantine works of art on the inside of the domed ceiling. The gold-backed mosaic pictures above the doorways on the facade only hint at the mosaic artistry inside, where 4,240 square meters of gold mosaics cover the domes and walls. These set is distinctly Byzantine tone to its soaring interior, but you'll find treasures from other periods, including later mosaics designed by Titian and Tintoretto, names you'll encounter all over the city. The magnificent golden altarpiece, the Palla d'Oro, one of the finest in Europe, was begun by early 12th century artists and centuries later, adorned with nearly 2,000 gems and precious stones. If you can tear your eyes from this, the mosaic domes, and the multitude of richly decorated altars, glance down at the floor, a masterpiece of marble inlay. And take time to see the gold reliquaries and icons in the treasury. Located in the Piazza San Marco, this basilica is easily accessible from the Grand Canal and is one of the best-known surviving examples of Italian Byzantine architecture. Number 4, Doge's Palace. The Doge's Palace is a palace built in Venetian Gothic styles. Views from the Venetian lagoon give the Doge's Palace an ethereal look, almost like it's floating on top of water. For centuries, this building served as the residence for the Doge, the seat of the government, and a palace of justice. Everything from execution orders to the affairs of Venetian leaders was carried out here, and a web of secret passageways and hidden doors reveals a decidedly mysterious past. Now, it is a museum. Without a doubt, a visit to the Doge's Palace is a must-have experience in Venice. The history that took place here is incredible. Along with the attraction's historical significance, Doge's Palace is located in the busy St. Mark's Square, which means it sees a lot of foot traffic. Again, expect large crowds of people and even a long wait in line just to get in. It isn't uncommon to see a line wrapping around the building, so book your ticket in advance, and if you can't do that, arrive right when it opens to avoid crowds. Recent visitors who reported not doing either said they waited in line upward of an hour and subsequently didn't enjoy the attraction as much. Despite this, many commented on the beauty of the building's architecture and the artwork featured. You can tour the palace on your own or book a guided tour. A number of travelers highly recommended taking a guided tour, specifically the Secret Itineraries tour, saying the history of the building alone easily trumped the beautiful surroundings. Tours last an hour and 15 minutes and are offered in English 3 times a day. As you tour the palace, you will have more fantastic views of Venice. The Doges has some great views on Venice. One of the most unique views of Venice is from the Bridge of Sighs. From this window, prisoners on their way to execution would have this final view of the city. Number 3, Rialto Bridge. Once the only bridge across the Grand Canal, Rialto Bridge marks the spot of the island's first settlement, called Riva Saltus. As one of the bridges that spans the impressive Grand Canal, the Ponte di Rialto is undoubtedly the most famous and iconic. Built in 1588, some 150 years after the collapse of a previous wooden bridge, this stone arch supports 2 busy streets and a double set of shops. Originally a wooden bridge, this culmination stood for hundreds of years until it collapsed in 1524. After this incident, an ornate stone bridge was built that still stands today. Connecting the San Marco and San Polo districts of Venice, the bridge is an important pedestrian thoroughfare, but also a hugely popular tourist attraction. Along with serving as a busy crossing point midway along the canal, it is a favorite vantage point for tourists taking or posing for photos and for watching the assortment of boats always passing under it. The detail and design of the bridge is simply beautiful, and its symmetry perfectly frames the Grand Canal. The Church of San Bartolomeo, close to the San Marco end of the bridge, was the church of the German merchants who lived and worked in the Fondaco dei Tedeschi bordering the canal here. It has an excellent altarpiece, the Martyrdom of Saint Bartholomew, by Palma the Younger. The former exchange is now a popular place to go shopping. There is also a series of shops on the bridge that sell a range of wares from souvenirs to jewelry. On the other side of Rialto Bridge is the busy food market, where Venetians and chefs shop for fresh produce and seafood. In the narrow streets of San Polo, beyond the market, are artisans' shops and mask-making studios, one of the best places for shopping in Venice. You'll also find places to eat that are not so filled with tourists as those nearer San Marco. Number 2, Grand Canal. Considered to be the main street of Venice, the 2-mile-long Grand Canal is one of the city's most popular and highly photographed attractions. The main route in Venice, teeming with merchant ships, the Grand Canal is still a heavily transited waterway that runs through the center of Venice, from the railway station to San Marco. On the sides stand the beautiful palazzi, even the infamous Casanova lived in one of these, which were initially built as business hubs by the city's merchants. The Vaporetto, or water bus, is a great way and the least expensive to explore this canal, but water taxis are also available, as well as the typical Venetian gondolas, although tourists should be careful to avoid scams. Recent travelers recommended hiring a gondolier for a romantic row along the canal. Many others suggested hopping aboard the Vaporetto, or public water bus, for much cheaper experience. Vaporetto line number 1 travels down the Grand Canal, stopping in the 6 sestieri, or neighborhoods, along the way. Travel experts strongly recommend purchasing a Venezia Unica City Pass if you don't plan on walking the entirety of your trip due to the high cost of one-way fare. Perpetual crowds have the potential to put a damper on the experience, so consider taking a ride during the evening for a quieter, more atmospheric ride. Whichever mode of transportation you chose, travelers agree that the Grand Canal is a magnificent attraction and must be experienced during your trip. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Number 1, Piazza San Marco. As the only public square in Venice, the Piazza San Marco has been the city's main gathering place for centuries. The vast expanse of Venice's largest square is brought together and made to seem almost intimate by the elegant uniformity of its architecture on 3 sides. But more than its architectural grace, St. Mark's Square is loved as Venice's living room, the place everybody gathers, strolls, drinks coffee, stops to chat, meets friends and tour guides, or just passes through on the way to work or play. Surrounded by open-air cafes and landmark attractions, including San Marco Basilica and the Palazzo Ducale, it's the natural epicenter for any visit to the city of canals. The square is actually laid out in a trapezoid shape that widens as it approaches the basilica. Three sides are framed in arcades, beneath which are fashionable shops and even more fashionable cafes. The open end is bookmarked by the erratic exotic curves, swirls, mosaics, and lacy stone filigree of St. Mark's Basilica. Above it towers the brick shaft of the Campanile. For overviews of this busy piazza, you can go to its top or to the top of the Torre dell'Orologio, where a pair of Moors strikes the hour. Despite the crowds that throng it in summer and the rains that flood it in winter, St. Mark's Square offers a memorable Venetian experience in every season. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchZilla and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.